Hey guys, and welcome back. This is OddOneGaming, and this is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today's video is going to be about a clan boss build that I was trying to think of using Demytha. We're seeing all over YouTube full unkillable ones with 3-to-1 ratio, 2-to-1 ratio, all sorts of combinations with her because of her A3. Obviously she's a pretty insane champion, and as soon as you get the right components to make a team with her, she can be pretty awesome, even better than the double man-eater. But I was thinking, okay, what can we do, or what can other people do that maybe don't have the Seekers, or they don't have Deacon, or they don't have other combinations, and maybe they want to do something up until they get to that point. So I was thinking, okay, let me try out something, just going 1-to-1 ratio, see what this one can do. And the team that I was thinking about is using Skullcrusher as an example. I know that maybe some people don't have, like, not everybody has Skullcrusher or a Martyr or a Valkyrie. I just try to bring him in for that extra damage from the counterattacks. He can be somebody else, like Skullcrusher can be another ally protection that brings decreased attack under A1. Like Jarek, you can make him 4-3 ratio, or you can bring a rear guard that has decreased attack. So I just used Skullcrusher because I wanted to use him. I barely use him anywhere in my account, so I said, yeah, let me try and do something with him. So he's obviously basically would be in the team for the ally protection and the counterattack for a little bit of extra damage. I'm using Sepulchre Sentinel for her decreased attack A1, which is not reliable enough, obviously. But I'm mostly using her for the block debuffs and the increased defense. And then I'm just bringing Razin, which is everybody can get, and the Frozen Banshee for the poisons. The way that I thought about the team is like just trying to do slightly basic team. I know I have a lot of 6-star gear in here, but I didn't max everything. I didn't max like their crit damage and all that. I just basically took some leftover gear and I just put it on people to hit like the right amount of defense, the right speeds and all that. And I want to showcase this basically as a basic team to make. So don't have to have these crazy stats on damage and all that. You just want mostly the survivability. And the way that I'm working on this team for Ultra Nightmare is I'm looking for this to be a 4-key affinity friendly Ultra Nightmare team. That's why I didn't min-max it. Because if I would min-max it, maybe I could push it to a 2-key with other champions in there. That's why I try to sort of like leave it a little bit of RNG as well with Sepulchre. He's RNG as well because he cannot land this, but I guess Razin is pretty good in here because he's a defensive champ. I didn't push her stats to the max either, so I didn't push anybody's stats to the max, not even Sepulchre, even though in this comp she's gonna be uncovered on one of the hits from the ally protection. But my whole idea was trying to do a team where Demytha basically blocks with her A3 one of the AoEs, and then on the second AoE we're covered by the ally protection, so either the first or the second. So the way that I'm doing this is I'm gonna show you, she will be blocking the first AoE and Skullcrusher will have the ally protection for the second AoE. She also brings the extension, which obviously everybody knows, and a crazy heal on her A2. So the way that I'm using this one is before the stun. So basically trying to equalize everybody's HP before the stun, so the stun will always go to the one champion you want it to go. Either the leader, if it's like for example Spirit, or if it's Force, it goes to Frozen Banshee. If it's Magic, I haven't tested yet, but if it's Magic it should go again to Frozen Banshee, because you're gonna put them in the right order as I took for Demytha stat fast, just to make sure she doesn't take the stun. So basically you can control the stun, where the stun goes on this one, because with Demytha's heal everybody will be at full HP or really close to full HP before the stun comes, so it could be really easy to focus around there. Frozen Banshee can be changed as a DPS as an example. Razin can be changed. We can bring somebody else that, I don't know, bring a more reliable decreased attack. You could try and bring, instead of Skullcrusher, if you have a Toragi, you can bring Toragi. He also brings heals, he brings the shield, he brings decreased attack as well, and he brings extra poisons. So the core, in my opinion, the core that I'm trying to showcase is basically Demytha in there for the, obviously, for the block damage and the extension. Sepulcher for the block debuffs and decreased attack, which again, even Sepulcher can be changed with, I don't know, if you have a Brogni, you can bring a Brogni, that would mean extra damage. And Skull Crusher, which can be, like I mentioned, any other ally protection to basically take the heat on the second AoE. So let's take this one in for a spin. Let me go on Ultra Nightmare. And this is the team. One thing that you need to know and you need to make sure you put on the presets is Demytha to focus A1 and A2, because she sometimes likes to prioritize her A2 to heal everybody, and that's gonna ruin it. Just want her to do this, everybody else does what they have to do. And the way that I've set it up, let me just show you here on the calculator. Obviously using the 4:3 ratio for Sepulcher, she runs at 240, 171 Demytha to go last so she can block the first AoE, Resin 182, Frozen Banshee 181, and Skull Crusher 172. You can play with these speeds, you can have their speeds lower or a little bit higher, but not passing, I think it's 190 or something like that. So as you see, the way that this one goes, it basically falls into sync from turn 4, so it's not that difficult. You're blocked for the debuffs from the start, you're blocked from the stun, so you're good to go. The only thing you need to do is obviously delay Sepulcher 1 turn, she does her A2 here, and you need to make sure Demytha does her A3 only on the first AoE. So you with Demytha use A1 on the first on the second AoE, on her first turn, and then you would use the heal just before the stun, which at the same time she will also extend the increased defense and the block debuffs, but obviously you're still going to be covered. But the most important thing about her A2 is getting everybody healed, so we can control the stun targeting. But enough chatting, let's go into this and see how it goes. And we're gonna test it against the worst affinity possible, which is Spirit, and we have 3 wrong affinity champs in here. Might not be 4 key, it might be close to 4 key, but it's basically, I just want to showcase how this team works. So let me just put this one on the side so I see it myself. So we start with Sepulcher's A1. Okay, the reason we're doing with Resin the A2 here, obviously weak hit, and with Frozen Banshee, because we will put the ally protection now. This is the AoE where we want to take the heat, so we're putting the ally protection in here, and we do with her, we only do the A1 now, and we put up the increased defense and block debuffs from Sepulcher Sentinel. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we can straight up put it on auto from here. Let me see. No, wait, so not yet. Okay, one more A1 with Sepulcher, one more A1 with Skull Crusher, and here comes the heal that I was talking about, everybody to full. And now this can go full auto. So she's not going to be covered by the ally protection on this affinity, but on the other ones, where Frozen Banshee is going to be the target, she will also have the ally protection. And as you see, first AoE we don't take any damage because we have the block damage. Then the second AoE we rotate back to the ally protection, increased defense, block debuffs, and all the good stuff. See, everybody's under ally protection, everybody's under increased defense. So this one is pretty okay. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously it's not gonna do insane damage, like I mentioned. I didn't focus to put the best gear in there. I didn't focus to do the highest damage in the world. I just wanted to show the team and rotation and what, like, my thought process behind this whole thing. So I think I'm gonna take myself off and I'm gonna let you guys enjoy, and we're gonna come back in what, I think 3-4 minutes when it finishes. So enjoy this one. I'm coming back to mention, as you've noticed, if she doesn't land the decreased attack for the second AoE, this one can fail a lot faster. But the stun targeting, we're still good. So unless we get some unlucky crits or we don't land the decreased attack, this one can still go on pretty well. But at the same time, like I mentioned, we can swap around champions. We can bring another champion that has decreased attack on a different skill rather than their A1 to have it more reliable. Like the DPSs can be changed, like I mentioned. We can bring somebody else instead of Frozen Banshee, somebody else that brings decreased attack, decreased defense, and the poisons, like, I don't know, a Venom Mage. Or you could bring a Ferrokin the Fat that brings an ally attack as well to get as much damage as you can in the short period of time that you will survive. The whole idea is you need to always have the right debuffs and buffs when we're talking about non-unkillable comp, which is you always want to have the decreased attack. This is the most important one. If you don't have the decreased attack for the AoEs, because for the stun it doesn't work, as the stun does damage based on your max HP. So if you don't have the decreased attack, if I wouldn't have it here, I would have died. Quite surely I would have died. Then you like to try and bring decreased defense and weaken, or at least decreased defense, so everybody does more damage from their War Master procs. Then you want to bring some damage over time, like poisons or HP burns. When it comes to your own team, the best skill, the best buff to use for damage mitigation is an ally protection buff, because basically everybody else apart from the ally protector takes half of the damage, which makes us survive. Like now, we're gonna be possibly dead because we don't have the decreased attack. See, because we didn't land the decreased attack from her, this one's going down at 16 million. We want to get at 17.5 million in order for it to be a 4-key Ultra Nightmare. Might still be able to push it to that 4-key, but like I said, we have 3 people wrong affinity here. So this doesn't help us at all. You can always bring in somebody else, like for Spirit you can build a Thane, or you can bring the Ragnar, or if you have a Jintoro. So you can always think of other options. So as you see, these 2 champions, they're just basically there to make the comp work and survive. Skullcrusher is in a stalwart set. She's in I've just put some random gear on her just to hit the speeds and some damage, but she doesn't do insane damage, as she only hits with her A1. So getting her to do lots of damage, I guess is not really important, just make her to survive. And the damage came from obviously the poisons and resin. Like in general, when you think about these basic type of teams where you're only able to hit like 4-key Ultra Nightmare, you're trying to get to survive as long as you can and get those the damage as much as you can from those poisons. Obviously these 2 did very little damage because of the wrong affinity as well. But this is something that I want to continue to work on. I want to see how far I can push it with obviously bringing in better champions in here. Obviously everybody has the tier 6 mastery, Giant Slayer for Resin, War Master for her, War Master for Sepulchre, same Skullcrusher, same Frozen Banshee. Let me show you again the speeds of this one. So because we're going for the 4-3 ratio, I'm going to show it here. Because we're bringing Sepulchre Sentinel, we're going for the 4-3 with Sepulchre. So 240 on your Sepulchre, 171 Demytha because you want her to go last to block the first AoE, 182 Resin, 181 Frozen Banshee, and 172 Skullcrusher. Like I said, these 2 speeds can be dropped, and you want Skullcrusher basically to be a little bit faster than Demytha, so everybody's covered on the for the AoE A1 with the block damage. I try to work around this one to make it work on Nightmare, but obviously if this one's gonna be a 4-key Ultra Nightmare only, you're not gonna try to do it for Nightmare. So if you try to push it higher, then yeah, this one could work as well. It's just the rotation changes would change slightly, and we will have to figure out what buffs to do later and what to do at the same time, because she will get that extra turn on the first AoE. So maybe you could swap and get Demytha to block the second AoE or to block the stun, but that obviously you will work around the champions that you have and the rotations that you're trying to use. This is very easy to just go into Deadwood Jedi, put your champions, put your Deadwood Jedi's website, put your champions, put your speeds, and then work with the buff and debuff delays here. See where you're covered, where you're not. For the first two, as an example, you would always like to have the decreased attack on the clan boss and have the increased defense and ally protection because you're taking the heat if you're gonna use her to block. The second AoE, then you don't really care what buffs and debuffs you have there, you just want her to go last, put up the block damage, and if it's spirit, you want to have the block debuffs. And then for the stun, if you can get again for her to heal before that, then that's gonna work beautiful as well on Nightmare. But like I said again, if we're gonna 4-key Ultra Nightmare, we're not gonna have the keys to try and make it a 1-key Nightmare, which is hard if you do 4-key. If you have 3-key, maybe you can get close to 1-key Nightmare. So I guess this is it. I'm gonna still work on combinations with her. I want to try different other comps that I haven't already seen, because I don't like to make videos in general of like, oh, somebody's already done it. I always try to experiment and try some other stuff that are like, I don't know, early game, mid game friendly. So this is what it tried to be, an early game, mid game friendly comp for somebody that has Demytha and an ally protection champ with a block debuff champ, like Sepulcher, like a Brockney. Or if you have somebody that has only block debuffs for 1 turn, you can always just do, you can work around it, so you block the decrease speed when it's spirit, and then you can have her cleanse with the A2. She can be the stun cleanser for you. So there's different ways you can work around with this if you're not at the level or you don't have all the right champions to do the unkillable with her. So I hope this one was helpful for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like the video, leave a subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace, love you all.